Welcome back to the Breakfast Show 2. We're here with Sergeant Clark Parrott to talk a little bit about the week that you have had. That was a travel nightmare, honestly, probably out there, especially down more in the boot heel. Talk a little bit about what you experienced with traveling this week.
Yeah, we did have a little bit of fun this week. The weather system that moved in, Monday night, woke up Tuesday morning with a glaze of ice on everything. And we thought we pretty well had it cleared up and things like that, but then it started sleeting about 1 o'clock Tuesday afternoon. And as cold as it was and the freezing rain just made a mess of it. And we ended up working almost 400 traffic crashes.
Holy cow.
Or excuse me, almost 200 traffic crashes in the 2 days. Had almost 400 calls for service, but that's just the ones that were logged.
Yeah.
Our phones rang off the wall nonstop at troop headquarters. We had, patrol cars struck, the highway patrol investigated those crashes. Minor police department had a vehicle struck Charleston. Fortunately, the officers were treated and released the next day, but it was just a mess.
Yeah.
And I heard you guys talking about it and other media outlets saying, if you don't have to be out, don't.
Yep.
And that was our number one message, was if you don't have to be out and drive on this, please don't. Make sure that but if you do have to, slow down. And that was the biggest thing that we saw, was between passenger cars, pickup trucks, four-wheel drive, that's great. All that does is get you into the ditch faster.
Right.
And some of the bigger trucks was people were driving too fast for the conditions. Well, the speed limit might be 65, but when it's got an inch of ice on it, you need to be driving about 12. If you're going to be out. So fortunately, there were no fatalities this week. A few bumps and scrapes, but I think we ended up with 9 or 10 injuries out of all those traffic crashes, but nothing serious.
That's definitely a blessing, because that weather was rough, especially as you headed down more south. And like you said, it was just basically a sheet of ice. And people think that they can drive on any type of road conditions. They think that they are just, superheroes and can do anything. And ice, no, that's not how that works. People have to slow down. Yeah,
and anytime there's a barrier between the contact patch of your tire and the roadway, whether it's rain, standing water, whatever, you're going to lose traction. Which is why we slow down. And the too fast for conditions was the biggest thing that we saw across all of these traffic crashes, 156 of them in 2 days. That was the biggest thing, was too fast for conditions. Well, you can't stop. In that, and it just is very problematic, because we preach and we preach and we preach, slow down. And when all of a sudden you start seeing your fellow officers, other agencies, cars destroyed and people hurt, you understand why we say that, and why we ask you to slow down and prepare your car for it. So we'll get through this one. Hopefully everybody will learn, and we'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, you sure hope so. And there's more than just the driver's life that's on the line. If you guys are out there working these crashes and you guys are on the side of the highway, people have to slow down in that regard too, because it's not just their life that could be hurt. It's other people that are working those crashes. That's why it's just so imperative to slow down and be aware.
And that was the thing with our officer that was struck, and he was actually sitting in his patrol vehicle with a driver from a previous crash. And the Charleston officer, the same thing. They were in their vehicles doing what they needed to do for a crash investigation, and they were struck. In the one in Poplar Bluff, we actually had US 60 shut down from T Highway back to the 60-67 split. One of the wrecker companies in Poplar Bluff on that particular incident lost 3 of their wreckers for a limited amount of time, because it was a chain reaction crash sliding into it. And it was just a mess. When MoDOT puts out the chemicals and the sand and everything, and they do a great job keeping it safe, but when it's that cold and that much ice, there's not a whole lot we can do other than asking people to slow down.
Right, exactly. That's the main thing that you can do. And switching topics just real quickly before we head to break, Super Bowl is next weekend. So what is the biggest reminder that you could give to people who may be going to Super Bowl parties, or whatever it may be? What's the biggest thing?
Have a designated driver. If you're going to a Super Bowl party and alcohol or other substances are part of your celebration, you're watching the game, and a lot of people will start pre-gaming at 11 o'clock in the morning for a game 7 hours later. make sure that you've got a designated sober driver and that they know that they are the designated sober driver for that. Super Bowl Sunday is one of the busiest days of the year for alcohol-related crashes, incidents, and things like that. So if alcohol or anything else is part of your celebration, make sure that you're doing it responsibly and don't drink and drive, don't smoke and drive, or anything like that.
Yeah.
If you are going to be out, make sure that you wear your seatbelt every time you get in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Well, great advice. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Breakfast Show, too. We'll be right back.